Photons are crystal pressure voids. They're pressure voids in the lines of magnetism of our multiverse, the magnetic grid pattern, where matter is pushed to because it's the least, the most buoyant, and it's the least pressure in our atmosphere. So this is how a photon is born, because they're pushed there with pressure to the pressure void. And they're circular, they're spiny, and they have little teeny tapered edges like a crystal. They're made up of crystal material, and so that's a photon. Has ions that spin around it, and they fill up with particles slowly. A photon makes up a proton by filling up with particles almost completely, and having a round ball of particles around the spines, and having just the end of the spines poking out with the little tapered tips, so that they have a ball of ions that go around it that creates pressure, pushing back on the atmosphere, stopping the sun's hot particles from reaching the proton, which is why a proton is ice cold. There's a cold end of the spectrum on electromagnetism and a hot end of the spectrum. The hot end is neutrons, and neutrons are simply oval-shaped or egg-shaped little objects that spin from the sun's, well, the multiverse's orbits, which are like this. They spin just like this, all in different directions, and not different directions, but they spin all in. They all go in the same direction, but they all spin at different orbits and stuff, and they overlap because there's different cells of our universe. The convex nature of our universe pushes like this, so the spins come like this from different angles, and they hit the photon, and they hit the neutron, and it goes just like this. And it spins so fast that it puts fractures in time, or we'll call it the atmosphere. It creates little pressure voids because it's spinning so fast from magnified lines of magnetism, and it creates little pressure voids for ions to seep in. That's why when you put protons inside of uranium, it spins so fast to let so many ions in, the pressure pops the atom, and then it's a chain reaction of popping, because they just like that. And then what happens is the pressure from the bomb, the pressure from the ions releasing, gets so big, and that pressure puts more pressure on the atmosphere, which lets in more ions, and that pressure puts on more pressure on the atmosphere, which lets in more ions, which is why the bomb spreads out the way it does. Just like that. Presses back on the atmosphere. The first thing to come down when you press back on the atmosphere is ions.